Hello. Just a moment of truth. Is it frozen for y'all also, or just me? Oh no, it's frozen for y'all too. I swear I tested this so much before we started. Oh, I think we got it. Give it a minute. I really did test the crap out of this before we started. I think my chat's even working. I'm moving. Hooray. Hello. How is everybody today? I keep my office that cold and it freezes up. Yep, that's exactly what's happening. I do have my office very cold right now because I just moved everything to like all the computers are now in this room and there's no fan above me. So I have like my little AC blowing. Well, it's not an AC, it's just like a little like floor fan blowing towards me. And the AC is like cranked down because I am in the part of the country where it's still hot outside. So Ryan, if you're watching this, the AC is definitely down at like 68 right now. Okay. I spent forever doing all of this so that we won't have all of the issues that I've been having. And knock on wood, that was I was trying to get this chat set up before. That was the last thing I didn't quite get set up before it started, was getting my little chat window where I could like click on y'all's comments and have it like pop up so I could show what I was looking at. But that's okay. We'll get that working for next time. This time, at least, I have my nice camera. I have my nice audio. I think it sounds better. I was working quite a bit on getting the audio sounding better. I know there's music in the background. I was going to listen afterwards to see how the music sounded. Y'all are my little test subjects. So thank you for joining us today. And if you are here for the first time, then let's see. So Manor 2005 is Ryan. So I believe he's saying I'm burning money with the AC. Is that what that says? It's okay. It's my money. Our money. It's fine. Okay, so hello everybody. You've reached us. You are here. If you are watching this, you've reached our weekly Q&A where I, a petroleum engineer and owner of Pecan Tree, answer your questions. Anything regarding mineral interest, royalties, oil and gas, anything like that. If it has to do with the oil and gas industry or mineral ownership or, you know, whatever, I can take a stab at it. Now it's free advice on the internet, so you get what you pay for. But you know, gotten good reviews at least. So, you know, today I don't have too much in the way of like a pre-planned topic. You know, I have my little in-ears. I'm trying to be like a singer where they just take them out halfway through. So I don't have a pre-planned topic for this one. Where I've been starting a lot of our last live streams where at the beginning I'd have maybe the first 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how talkative I am. I start off with something that I have been getting lots of questions on, or something that I've been wanting to make a video on, and we cover that. Or if someone emailed in a question, we can hit that question. This week I have thoughts, but all of my time prepping was on the equipment and not so much the questions. So it's an even more free-form live stream than usual. So we will be starting off with Um, let's see. What shall we start with? It's kind of dangerous, like getting a whole new setup right before a live stream because there's so much to test, but it's okay. We'll work through it together. I was half thinking we get a lot of questions on units and how units work, and what's the difference between a unit and a tract and a lease unit and tracts within a unit and the ownership tract. Like, there's a lot of things that sound very similar. It's kind of like accounting. So back when I was in college, I knew that I wanted to eventually start a business, and I went to UT. I'm all the UT stuff up here, if that's not apparent enough. My new camera setup zooms in more than I want it to, so you can't quite see all my cool stuff on the display up there, but it's there. So when I was at UT, I wanted to start a business. So they had a business foundations course thingy, like you took like 5 courses and you could get a business certificate or something as part of your undergraduate. And, that was maybe my sophomore year of college. So I'd started getting into the engineering courses, and the first 2 business courses I took was management and accounting. And this is going somewhere, I promise. Just stay with me. The accounting class was all the way across campus. And if you've been to UT Austin, so University of Texas, Austin, it's situated just north of downtown, but it's kind of interspersed amongst the city of Austin, Texas. And so at the time, this was like 20 years ago at this point, gosh, but it was, it's probably more crowded now than it was then, but it's still pretty crowded at the time. And, the engineering building was on the north side of campus, and the business and accounting stuff was all on the south side of campus. And so I took this accounting class, which was direct, like a good 15, 20-minute hike or more, depending on weather and all this stuff. Yeah. Hook 'em, Becca. Yeah. So, okay. So hear me out. When you're in the accounting class and they're explaining all these terms and the fundamentals of accounting, and they're laying it out for you, you're like, well, that's obvious, right? This minus this equals this. Duh. Okay, to make a entry in this journal thing, you have to do this. Well, that makes sense. Duh. And it got to this point where I was like, okay, this all seems pretty intuitive to me, and I have the option of either saving 30 minutes to an hour of my day by not traversing across campus to go to this accounting course, which was extremely easy, and spending that time instead doing homework and studying, or going to this, an engineering class instead. And every now and then, I might have considered making the decision to not go to this class all the way across campus, because it was something that I could have, if I decided to do that, figured out intuitively, obviously, right? And it came to the first test, and this was when the concept of intuitive things not necessarily being intuitive if you weren't already introduced to them originally was introduced to me. So I looked at the first test and I was like, these are all words that I've heard before. I know what these words are. I can pronounce them. I could probably create a definition that was pretty close, but I have no idea how it relates to accounting in the means that it wants me to relate to. And that's kind of how I see all these land terms. All these things are relatively simple words: unit, tract, lease. It's words that y'all have heard other places in your life. you could probably create a definition that's relatively close to like the Webster definition for what that word means. But when you put it into the context of what it specifically means for this specific use, I bet most people couldn't come up with that on their own. So that's, I still feel that way about accounting. I very much feel that way when I go into QuickBooks and I see all these different terms on the left saying all these things that all sound the same, but are all different. And I know that is how a lot of people feel about the land side, because that's how I feel about the land side when I was learning all of it, and still to this day, a large part of that. So we might hit some of that today. Now, the question is, this is all good visual topic, and I don't necessarily have a visual ready. Can I get one ready quickly? All right, I'm going to time box it. If you do have questions, if you're watching this and you want to use this as an opportunity to get whatever you want answered, I will hit whatever. Like, we can go deep dive, technical, we can go really high level. What is oil? Like, that's both high level and not high level at the same time. We can hit it all. But since no one's asking that, I'm going to take this little 5 minute, not 5 minute even. It's going to feel like an eternity. But I'm going to try to get my screen sharing working in a way that I can have a little graphic. Okay. Oh, and I will put on some fun music. In the meantime, I know what can entertain y'all in the meantime. I have a poll. Okay, I'm going to start with an easy one. What does, is that easy? Yeah, we'll try it. What does WTI stand for? Now, you do all have the internet probably right in front of you. That's fair game. I'm making some little options. I'm putting a poll together so you can vote on the poll. I don't know if I'll be able to see who voted what, but you'll know what you voted. Oh, Becca, what's your favorite use of AI ChatGPT for mineral interest related work right now? That's a good one, Becca. Thank you. Becca, also, as a side note, Becca is an amazing engineer. She may or may not be on our team, and we love her to pieces. And if you have a project going with Pecan Tree, you've likely talked to her because she is our favorite to interface with people because she is probably the nicest. All right, we're going to go ahead and start the poll. Again, give y'all, I don't even know if I spelled stuff correctly. It's really hard to type when you are just, going at it. Hello, Hoot Royer. It's funny, I see Hoot, and I just assume that you're a family member, but I don't think you are. But welcome to the stream. I say Hoot because my maiden name is Hooten, but okay. So, okay, well, I will try to do 2 things at once. Let's see if I can do 2 things at once. Okay, so my favorite use of AI and ChatGPT type of stuff is if you want to have something explained to you that you already have a good definition for, like you have that source that you trust, you just don't fully understand that source. I like to have chat give me a couple different ways to understand it. I also like chat to have to give me ideas on things to consider. Like if I am only considering something from one direction, sometimes I'll say, give me all the pros and cons to this, or give me all the different ways that you can think of or that you know of. I mean, it's a computer. I don't know if it actually thinks, but give me all the ways that you can present to me to consider this particular topic that I'm looking at. And sometimes that gives me an alternate way of viewing that particular topic that I might not have thought of before. So it also gives me a way to, I'll say, hey, give me 5 sources for each topic that I should explore more. And a lot of times those sources aren't great, but a couple gems will be in there, and that's at least a good starting point for research. Oh, you know what? I was also gonna. There. Set up. This is my first or second time officially running a poll, so that's exciting. Let's see what we're at. Okay, what does WTI stand for? Mary, that is not cheating. I said you could Google it if you wanted to. So the correct answer was West Texas Intermediate. So again, I probably didn't spell that right because I'm an engineer, not a writer. And my husband actually gave me a nice little mug that I'll have to use at some point. All right, so next one. This one will just call out. This one's a little harder. Okay. And for this one, I guess I will just, okay, don't call it out. I changed my mind. Don't call it out. I'm going to put 3 options again, and y'all pick the option you think it is. I'm not even going to give a hint of what is it. It has to be, it's related to drilling. Let's see. Oh, my music stopped. Keep going. All right. You ready? Okay. What does duck stand for? D-U-C. Duck. Okay. While y'all do that, I will continue getting some visuals for our units versus tracks versus all of that stuff discussion. Thought we would be 100% on this one. curious. The music is a little loud. Okay. Thank you, Becca. It's really hard to tell this stuff live. Is that better? I just Googled some unit stuff and my own picture, not my picture, but something that I made came up on Google results. That's fun. Okay, I think this is a decent starting point. Okay. The answer for our poll is, drumroll, I don't think that actually worked, drilled uncompleted. So the C is the completed part. So this is when a well has been drilled. There's been a rig that has gone and drilled a hole in the ground, drilled the full lateral, if it's a horizontal well, or just drilled all the way to the bottom. And it's waiting on this last step, which is the completion. And the reason that's an important step is that it's usually about half the cost of the well these days because completions are so big. And so you have these wells that companies will drill and get a whole bunch of them ready to complete all at once. And that's almost like raw ammunition or if you want to think of it like similar to a warehouse, it's like if they had a lot of inventory ready to be turned into their product they're making. So it's valuable, but there's still quite a bit of process left and quite a bit of capital left in order to make it something they can sell. And so it's something that's tracked in the same way that, raw materials are tracked for normal companies. And a lot of times they'll let them sit there for a while, sitting ducks is literally what it is. They'll let it sit there because they're either collecting several of them together in order to optimize and be able to efficiently do the completion, or between the time they started drilling and the time they got ready to do that completion, there's new information that makes it not economic to move forward, or there's a better opportunity for that money, so they might just leave them either indefinitely or just for a while, hoping that either commodity prices will improve, or maybe pipeline capacity, maybe it's maybe they're just wanting more information on the area. They're trying to figure out exactly how to complete it, and so they're waiting to see, maybe there's a nearby well that they're wanting to see how that one does before they complete the next one. So there's a lot of reasons that people might wait to complete a well. I think I have a video on why they might drill but not complete a well, or why they might permit and not drill the well. It's one of those two. I'll link it below. Okay, now for the real test. I'm actually not sure which desktop this is going to go to. Let's try it. Neither one. Okay, so we'll do this one. Haha. Okay, that's not bad. That's not horrible. I mean, I'm going to make it better, obviously, but how does it feel to be a guinea pig, dear viewer? Whoop. Y'all saw nothing. Where did it go? Oh. I have too many monitors for my own good. This better be worth it. Sorry. Okay. So, thanks, Mary. Oh, also, hi, Martha. Hi, Mary. Hi, Alice. Hi, everybody who's joining us today. I can't remember if I fully said hi to everybody. But yes. So this is a little example of, okay, I don't need design suggestions. Maybe I do. This is a little example of how units, let's see, what's the best way to attack this? This might be something that you're experiencing if you have wells that all have different interests, but they're all on the same land. So this is just one example of just, a complicated area. I believe this is North Dakota. Yeah, this is North Dakota. And what's happening is, can y'all see my mouse? Yes, you can. Okay. There is this yellow part here is the person's ownership. So that's, if you imagine there was a ranch back in the 1800s that great grandpa bought, you could put a fence around the yellow part. So a lot of times we call that the tract. Sometimes it's the legal description. Sometimes it's the parcel, Exhibit A. That's the thing that you'll see on the deed that's filed with the county. Sometimes this will be broken up into a couple different tracts of land. But if you're looking at just a common example of it being a homestead or a ranch or some property that has been gifted across down the generations, a large time is just like one big chunk of land, and most people call that a tract or a parcel or something along those lines. It wouldn't be typical to call it a unit, but at this point you probably could, and people would understand roughly what you're talking about. It'd be a little confusing if you called it a unit, but it's at least a start. Okay, now the purple, blue, and green boxes here are drilling units. Now, in every state does it slightly differently, and there's basically two different types of units that you're usually dealing with. Either a unit that treats everybody inside of it equally, and it's just, hey, if there's any drop of oil taken out from this box, then everybody gets paid their percentage from that box. And that's a pooled unit. Sometimes it's more important to know what the dynamics of the units more than the name. I know that probably sounds weird, but if everybody gets paid equally, kind of based on their share, no matter where it is in there, then that's normally a pooled unit. Now, it could be forced pooling, which means that the state is forcing everybody in there to kind of like join hands and drill a well all together, whether they want to or not. Or it could be voluntary pooling. Some states, it's quite common to have voluntary pooling. Or it could be a unit that isn't pooling technically, but it kind of works like that, where everybody in that unit gets paid the same. But it's not officially pooling. There's a lot of, that's where you get more into like the land and legal side of it. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just an engineer, just trying to like put this in terms that people can understand. That, in terms of how does it functionally work? And so the leases, however, could be anywhere. Their leases is used two different ways. And that's where people get confused, is you have people who use the word lease to describe like what could be called the unit, like the lease name or the lease production. And sometimes, like, you might get for example, this is called the Flayed Land 1426 HU. And I now remember why I drew this diagram, because there's a funny little thing happening here. Now, the well's name is often the lease itself, and then a number. So it's the Smith number 1, or the Flayed Land 1426 HU. So where Flayed Land is the lease name, and then 1426 HU is the well number. Now, the other way that lease is used is the individual tracts, like what you own, is leased to someone to drill it. That could be any combination of anything in here. So that's why I got this little box out, because a lease could be that you have a whole bunch of leases within here where here's all the different owners and each one owns about, 80 acres, 40 acres in here. And all of these are unique leases that different people had to sign. And that is the lease document that they can hold. That lease doesn't have that flayed land name attached to it. That lease has the owner's name attached to it. So that would be like, if any of y'all have minerals that are leased, you have that lease document, and that lease is only referring to the part that's described. Okay, so if, let's take that example a little further and say if you have a lease document in your hands and you have your 100 acres that you leased to Hess or someone in order to drill, and they're going to pay you now 20% of royalties in order so that you don't have to pay any money for them to drill the well, and then they're going to give you 20% of any money they make in return. And that lease is describing this 100 acres here. This lease also could be called a tract, also could be called a parcel, would not usually be called a unit, but could be called a lease. Okay, so our little Venn diagram, we now have a couple things that, lease and unit and tract all can have several different names. And so what I'm trying to get to really is that, like, the terminology all can sound very similar, and so make sure you know exactly what you're looking for and what you're looking at. Now, when you go to the North Dakota Commission and see that the lease is producing this much, and I'm a Texas person, so I'm using Texas terminology. It doesn't come as natively to think of it in North Dakota terms, so apologize for the North Dakota misnomers if I use Texas terminology. If you go and look at the lease production, as one might call it, the lease production is referring to everything that well that is covering leases is draining. So it's kind of looking at it from the opposite side of the glass. So you have the owners who have their individual lease, and then you have the company who has a whole bunch of leases. So when you're looking at the production from a lease standpoint, you're looking at all of the leases that well touches, that lease. And it usually has a different number, it usually has a different name, it's usually regulated by the state in some form or fashion. And that often gets confused. So that greater lease that covers all the individual leases, that is usually the thing that can be called the unit. Whether it's the drilling unit or the pooled unit, or the production unit, the allocation unit, the production sharing agreement unit. Like there's several different ways that you can name it. But that usually is looking at it from all the things that the well is touching. We're going to name everybody that gets paid under that umbrella of production a certain name, and we're going to call it that lease or that unit. Okay, so with that in mind, because I'm liking this whole polling thing, I'm going to test y'all. Okay, so I'm going to start a poll, and we're going to say, Are units bigger than tracts? Okay. Are units bigger than tracts? I guess I should have had a third option of it depends, but that's a little too generic and easy for y'all. So we'll just yes or no. Like, make it the 99% of the time type of answer. There's always going to be special things. Is a unit bigger than a tract? Now, we're going to wait for at least 2 people to answer this before I move on. Haha, we have 1. Okay, we will continue. We'll wait for 1 more. Definitely terrible gaming. Yes, thank you. Yes, hit the like button. I'll do the YouTube-y thing. Like, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. I am trying to make it to where it's a little easier to find these live streams because I know that everything on the internet's hard to find these days. But the easiest way is to have a lot of different ways alerting you of when we're going live. So if you are subscribed, if you like these videos, if you get notified for future live streams, then you'll get a little alert. It will show up on your home screen when we have more live streams coming. And if and when we publish more content like this, that's more refined and like nice and in one like playlist or something, you'll be alerted to that. So lots of good reasons to subscribe. Okay, we have 5 votes. I like it. Okay. Are units bigger than tracts? Yes, so we have 40-60. The answer, my answer, and this is, I'm the teacher, so whatever I say is correct in this classroom. We can discuss and debate afterwards, though. My answer is that units, I guess, okay, man, I'm too much of an engineer for my own good. I should have worded it, are units bigger than or equal to tracts? But for the most part, most of the time, a unit is bigger than a tract. So the answer, my answer, would be yes if I was given the choice between yes or no. I know that I worded that in a way that probably most of y'all that said no probably still got it correct. So this is not a graded exam. Now, if we want to go back to this is a unit bigger than tract, the reason, now I know that I show here that we have several, I show the one example probably of where the tract is bigger than a unit, but in this particular case, you probably have this broken up into several different tracts that are leased separately. But I would say, like, I'd still say 95% of the time the unit is bigger than the tract. So if you're like on our software, for example, on our app, on our site, and you're building a tract, and it's covering multiple units, what's likely to happen is that there's probably some blurring of the actual tracks that are happening, and that's okay. Like in this particular instance, this is likely, 4 different tracks actually that are just being displayed as one tract, in terms of how they're individually described legally, or how they're individually leased. But it's okay to combine multiple tracks together if they're all very similarly leased, very similar ownership. They're equivalent to a bigger tract. So, yeah, see, none of this is very straightforward, is it? I probably should have started with an easier example, but I don't know. I could go either way on whether it's good or bad to see the complexity early on or not. that's also kind of a trick question, as we've kind of gone over, that there isn't necessarily a set definition for tract, right? All of this is very fluid in what a definition for tract even is. So, all right, I'm going to end that poll, end that trick poll. I'm going to put one more poll that I'm kind of curious to see. Yeah, here we go. Here's one that's very straightforward. Does pooled units, do pooled units, does a pooled unit well, actually, how about I'll word it differently. What is a pooled unit? We have all owners within the unit get paid their percentage. Oh, I can't type that much. I had to do something that is 50 characters. Gosh, this is the worst in Twitter. Okay, so the answer will be a 50 character thing. All right. What is a pool unit? All owners paid on everything, or only owners that touch well paid. And these are all coming up on the fly. So I probably could have worded what is a pooled unit a couple other ways too, like how are people paid in a pooled unit? What happens if a well is drilled anywhere in a pooled unit? Who gets paid? And for an example on that, we'll go to, I don't have any good examples on this particular. I think I had, here we go. We'll go back to, yeah, I think this is one of our viewers sent in this, where we have a, actually this isn't exactly what I want. Well, ooh, how about this? Sure. Okay. So if you had a pooled unit that was just defined as this is your, I'll make it, this is your, no, we'll try to keep actually, yeah, okay. Let's say that you had a tract that was just this little area here, but there was a pooled unit that was this big triangle, like with, not triangle. Wow. Rhombus? My 8-year-olds could tell me. Let's say that this purple outline was the pooled unit, and we'll even make it smaller than that. You had this little area here that was your legal description of the stuff that you owned. And let's see, do I need to make that bigger? Yeah, okay, so this yellow outline is what you own, but there is a pooled unit that looks like this. Do you or do you not get paid on this well that's coming down through the middle? And because on one hand, it's not touching your acreage at all. On the other hand, your acreage is within the unit. So, we are split 50-50 on what is a pooled unit if all owners are paid everything and only owners that touch the well are paid. So this first, I'm not going to say the answer quite yet. You still have time to vote. So if all owners are paid everything, then within the unit, then any owner in this polygon would get their share of production that comes out of any well within this polygon, including this one, including these Hassel 55. I thought those are S's. These Lynch wells, all of these wells, everyone within here would get paid on. While if it were paid on only owners that touch the wells, then if it worked that way, then it would just be you'd only get paid on these man and these half estate wells if it worked that way. So, and there are units like that. I don't know if I probably gave it away, but the answer, drum roll please. Oh, I think I have a nerdy thing. The answer is all owners are paid everything. So if it's a pooled unit, I don't know how to say which ones are right. I guess a poll isn't like one is right or one's wrong. The poll is asking you what's right or wrong, but I'm using it for this. So the answer is for a pooled unit, if this purple polygon was a pooled unit, then, and you owned this yellow tract here, you would get paid on every well that was within here, because pooled is literally like you have a swimming pool and you poured your cup of water in the swimming pool. There is no figuring out where your cup of water was originally sourced, right? It's all like you have a big cup of purple dye, right? And you poured it into that blue swimming pool. That blue swimming pool is slightly more purple, but you have no way to figure out exactly across that entire pool how to get that back to your cup. So anything that happens in that pool happens to everybody who poured their cup into that pool. So that is literally how pooling works, is anyone's interest within there. And there's actually more legal stuff to official pooling, is that some areas and states treat it as like a legal transfer of property, because you're actually changing what you own when that happens, which is why some leases need permission to do the pooling in order to have pooling rights, because you are legally changing what someone owns for that particular definition of property. So that's why it matters. But it could just be for one zone that's pooled. It really just depends on how the formation is, how that legal instrument is written, and how the definition of what is being pooled. You have to really pay attention to that stuff, because it can be very important if you're in an area where there's multiple stacked reservoirs that could be of interest, because you could have different poolings happening at different depths. Like this acreage is pooled over into this polygon, and this acreage is pooled into this polygon, but only it gets really confusing. So that's where it matters. That's why they have it. It also makes it simpler to pay people, but it makes it more complex to understand what's happening. The other type of, if this was just based on only the owners that touched the well, then that would be usually like a production sharing agreement or an allocated well. A lot of times they'll take the amount of, let's see, if this was the allocated unit, or something like this is the definition of the unit that they're using to allocate production, it would more matter how much of that well was in your tract. And like, if it did something like this, and then you had another tract that was down here, and this lined up perfectly with these. I can't make it do it on the fly, but you might get where different people were getting paid different things based on that allocation. And even though this this tract up here in this corner, which y'all can barely see, but I've tried and I can't really quite get it down there. Even though that tract up here is within that polygon, that there's no productive lateral actually crossing that tract. And so even if the official definition of that unit says that it includes that tract, if they say they're going to pay based on how much that lateral of that lateral, like if it does this is what I'm saying. If this well starts producing here to here, and here's what's actually producing, and we'll make that shorter, then no one in this tract would actually get paid for the production in this well. Because it doesn't matter what unit they're in, it matters where the well is considered producing. So again, this is just one of the many, many different types of units that could be formed, but for the rough like bucketing of things, this is more in the allocation and sharing agreement, like more that terminology. A lot of times if you're in Texas, the newer wells lean this direction. While a lot of times in states that are easier to pool in, such as Oklahoma, let's see, I think New Mexico kind of leans that way. The East Coast tends to make weird but pooled units, like roughly about the same, like where you're in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia. That tends to be more the pooled acreage type of thing, but they're kind of weird units because of the legal descriptions of the tracks of that direction. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and end that poll. It is now 1:00. So thank you so much for joining us today. Let's see if I can. Oh, it worked. Okay, great. Okay, I am going to consider this mostly working, and next week it will be fully working in terms of all the things. But thank you so much for joining us today. Again, my name is Tracy Lenz. I'm a petroleum engineer. I am, let's see, what am I on? Year 18 of petroleum engineering, and the founder, and also we have co-founder Jason Hooten, and all the other amazing people in our company, some of which are in this chat today, who are on a mission to help the public understand what they own in terms of oil and gas minerals. So check out our website, pecantreeog.com, or Pecan Estimate, which is our app. And that is a free Zillow's estimate type app if you want to know more about what your minerals are worth, if you want to get free education, low cost education, or take it all the way to a white glove, managed portfolio type of level. We do the full suite. So thank you, and we'll see you next week. So, all right, bye. I am going to get my music going because that's fun. Wow. Oh. Make sure to say what we should talk about next week and submit your questions.